I'm Steve Rennick. I'm 40 years old from Vero Beach originally, and I'm a cancer survivor. I am married to Renee for 15 years now, and we have 3 great kids, 11-year-old daughter named Gigi, and twin 8-year-olds named Colton and Caitlin. I'm a real estate agent with our family company here in town with my dad, Ron Rennick, and my brother, Ron Jr., and stepmother, Patty. Company is Rennick Real Estate and Auctions. Been working with the family firm for about 15 years now, since we moved back to Vero Beach. Working 10 to 12 hours each day and try to spend what time I could with the family. We had recently moved into our new home, and within a couple of weeks I was sore. I felt some chest pains and difficulty breathing. I decided to go to a walk-in clinic to see a doctor, and I thought I was having a heart attack of some sort or heart-related issue. And they did an EKG to check my heart, and everything was fine, and sent me home saying it was just stress, take it easy for a few days. A couple of days later, I was still progressively getting worse, so I ended up going to the emergency room here at the hospital here in Vero Beach. And that's when they did a chest x-ray and saw tumors literally all over my body. When I discovered the cancer was so advanced and so late stage, I didn't have time. I was literally a week or so away from dying. In my case, I could not leave the hospital, so I was admitted inpatient immediately and assigned to a local oncologist at the time named Dr. Judson, and his patient navigator named Sandy Webster.
The goal is to gather as much information as possible and get it to that facility where they're going to seek a second opinion. Each patient is individual. Their families are individual, they're individual. What they bring with them when they come, they require a lot of support, not just navigational support, but team support, physician support, nurse support, and a lot of family members helping with it too, because Steve had a lot on his plate.
I had a choriocarcinoma, germ cell cancer, which is a rare form of testicular cancer. Survival rate years ago was less than 10%, and it usually affects men between the ages of 20 and 40 years old. I was 39 when I was diagnosed. There was a doctor in Indianapolis that developed a regimen to potentially cure my disease. Started platinum-based chemotherapy called a VIP treatment, which was an inpatient, round-the-clock, 5 days. Had a great support system and managed to work through treatment most of the time. I had a laptop computer with me in the hospital room working away, and the tumor markers dropped, which is what they would monitor the cancer with, and it dropped to a normal range. So in early December I was declared in remission, which was amazing news. Even the doctor in Indiana didn't think that was going to happen, because it turns out it was in my chest, lungs, and started to metastasize to my brain. So it was everywhere. It was around Christmas. We went up to Virginia to visit my wife's family, and unfortunately that was about 3 weeks after being declared in remission. Of subsequent tumor marker tests showed that the cancer was coming back. So then phase 2 kicked in. In January, once it was determined that the cancer was going to come back, and it's such an aggressive form of cancer, the next move was to travel to Indianapolis to see Dr. Einhorn in person. And I had high-dose chemotherapy with bone marrow transplants. I had 2 of those during that time. So that was a little rougher. It made the initial chemotherapy treatment not look so bad. Dr. Einhorn, he was very real. He wasn't just going to fluff it. So he had said, your situation, what you have going, I had the worst version of the cancer you can get and the worst locations in the latest stage. It was like a combination. Everything that could be bad, I had. He wasn't giving us false expectations. He's like, this is going to be a formidable climb, was his words. I remember him saying that. One of the side effects of the high-dose chemotherapy, which is hearing loss, I went to bed one night getting medication, woke up and couldn't hear at all. Like, I see people's mouths moving and nurses coming in trying to talk to me, and it just was silence. It was pretty crazy. So I have what's called a cochlear implant that was put in just a few months ago, and now I'm talking again. So I'm the bionic person now. I've got hardware literally installed in my brain. When we were in Indianapolis, we couldn't bring our kids with us, which was rough, because I was in isolation. My immune system was brought so low for so long that it was susceptible to any common cold could kill me. So they couldn't come, so we actually had to separate for those 2 months. So that was probably one of the hardest moments. And then Renee would be with me the entire time, slept in every hospital room every night. the chemo and the battle, I can handle that, but that was hard on them.
We spoke to someone, they told us just to be transparent with the kids and tell them the truth, whatever question it was, no matter how hard. The main thing was just to be open and let them be honest with their emotions. Let us be honest with our emotions, be mad, be upset, but talk about it. And that we just had to be strong together. And there would be days where I would have a hard day and he was having a hard day in the hospital, and I would just go on social media. And even though it upset me, it overwhelmed me, but it comforted me just to read all the people there rooting us on, praying for us, supporting us, and it was humbling.
After Indianapolis, the high-dose chemotherapy and bone marrow transplants worked. I'm happy to say I'm in remission again, and this time I think I'm in remission for good. I feel like I'm cured. I was born in 1979, so I'm 40 years old. Prior to my birth, Dr. Einhorn was in the 70s working on a cure for this type of cancer. And in the 80s, I learned that he was funded by the American Cancer Society, $250,000 to research a cure that I would eventually use 40 years later. Research is everything. What you do now will pay off in the future. And what Dr. Einhorn did with the resources of American Cancer Society 30, 40 years ago benefited me today. So I think there's future advances that can be made if people continue to support, the research. That's huge.